Hello and welcome to Your Ghana, My Ghana. We're on Graphic Online TV and I am Dede Amano-Wilkes. Today we're looking at the implications of the Human, Sexual and Family Values Bill, also known as the anti-LGBTQ+ bill. The bill was unanimously approved by Parliament on the 28th of February, despite an attempt to have the custodial sentences removed. The bill has struck a chord with many Ghanaians, but it has also met stiff opposition from human rights groups in Ghana and internationally who have dubbed it the most homophobic bill in Africa. Several applications have already been filed at the High Court and the Supreme Court to prevent President Akufo-Addo from signing the bill into law. One of the greatest fears is that the bill will gag the press, make it a criminal offence to advocate for the rights of LGBTQ people, and restrict the freedom of creative artists. Our guest in the studio today is the popular musician and cultural agitator, Wanlov the Kubolor. He's one of the main opponents of the bill in the entertainment world. Thank you, Kubolor, for joining us in the studio.
Thank you, Dede, for having me.
Before we begin our conversation, let's take a quick look at some of the issues thrown up by this bill. Ghana has been a forerunner on the African continent in the fight for political freedom. But if a controversial anti-LGBTQ+ bill is signed into law, the country will become known for one of the most intolerant acts in Africa. The Human, Sexual and Family Values Bill was passed by Parliament on the 28th of February and awaits the assent of President Akufo-Addo. If signed, it means anyone who calls themselves lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, transsexual, queer, ally, pansexual or non-binary can be imprisoned for up to 3 years. But it dishes out even harsher prison sentences to any ally who tries to advocate on behalf of an LGBTQ person, support for a prohibited activity or any action aimed at changing public opinion will attract 5 to 10 years behind bars. And anyone supporting the organization of LGBTQ+ activities will be jailed for 3 to 5 years. Creative voices who have used their art to call out the bill's draconian clauses include popular entertainer Wanlov the Kubolor, his straight-talking sister Deborah Vanessa, and Ghana's first openly transgender musician, Angel Maxine. Last week, more than 200 Ghanaians across the world, including high-profile actors and actresses, signed an open letter to President Akufo-Addo asking him not to assent to the bill. Originating as a private member's bill, the bill was laid before Parliament in August 2021 by 8 bipartisan MPs, led by the MP for Ningo Pram Pram, Sam George. Ironically though, Sam George was once a vigorous defender of gay rights. This is what he had to say during a public controversy over whether then-President John Mahama should have hired a gay activist to publish his 2013 book called My First Coup d'etat.
The constitution of this country enjoins that everybody has rights and that their rights must be protected. It's actually one of the preambles to the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, the International Declaration of the Rights of Persons, and all of that, And so the point is, the Constitution determines that every human being should have rights. Okay. It doesn't go ahead to break down if the human being should be straight or gay.
Behind Sam George, the architect of the Human, Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill is lawyer Moses Fo Amwaning, who is the Executive Secretary of the National Coalition for Proper Human, Sexual Rights and Family Values. It was Fo Amwaning who advocated for the closure of an LGBTQ advocacy center opened in Accra in January 2021, providing the justification for the bill. Controversially, his coalition has set up a medical center that offers gay conversion therapy and treats people with hormone imbalance. But human rights groups have lashed out against the bill, and several lawsuits have been filed at the High Court and the Supreme Court. The bill has been widely supported by Ghana's religious leaders. For now, it is the judiciary who must reach a decision on whether the proposed new act is in keeping with Ghana's constitution. In addition, the judges must determine whether the bill's nebulously defined offences attracting such severe prison sentences can produce a consistently fair administration of justice and a safe environment for all Ghanaians, let alone LGBTQ people and their families, friends, colleagues, landlords, employers, sponsors, and spokespeople, as well as the media and social media platforms that air their views. Wanlov the Kubolor, you're not wearing it today, but your short wrapper is one of your trademarks. When and why did you start wearing a wrapper?
I started wearing actual wrappers in 2007. But before that, when I was at the Sadel College, I would wrap my towel around me most of the period before and after going to the bathhouse to take a bath or shower. And so I guess it's something that grew on me, and I've gotten so used to it, so I prefer to dress this way.
So for comfort?
Yes.
But as the bill has passed through its various stages, you've become more obviously a cross-dresser, adding skirts and long dresses like your lovely kente skirt today to the wrapper. Is it for fun, or is it a form of protest or resistance?
I've been doing, I think, even shortly after I started wearing a wrapper, once in a while, I would go a bit more glamorous or try and dress more cross-dress more. But so I don't think it was something I was doing in an act of resistance, or it's just sometimes I just feel, sometimes my sister dresses me up, like for fun. So it also comes from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so if the bill is signed, what will happen to you if you continue to wear your wrappers and your skirts?
I don't know exactly. I feel maybe I'll be in danger in places that I'm not known, because I've seen that somehow being a popular person gives you some kind of safety in society, but there's also places in Ghana that somebody or people that consume a certain kind of entertainment that they have not come across me. And so in those kind of environments, if people are not really educated on the bill and on crime and on stuff like that, they can take, some kind of physical action against me for appearing out of place or out dressed in a way they are not expecting, So it crosses my mind, but I feel like I have a bit more protection than, the average Ghanaian who would probably be doing that in jest or, as part of a school ritual. I don't know, I just feel like I'm a bit more protected. But yeah, a lot of people are going to be in trouble, I feel.
Well, according to the bill, somebody who cross-dresses can attract a penalty of 1 year in jail.
Wow.
Or you feel that you would be able to explain
my situation.
Your style of dressing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the final version of the bill, but I remember when it spoke of the cross-dressing and then put a clause to say that unless you can prove that you are going to do some kind of comedy show or you are doing some kind of entertainment. So maybe I can explain that because I'm an entertainer. But if somebody who dresses like me, which is a young person in school, and says, oh, I'm dressed like this because of this entertainer, I don't know how, whether that will be a problem according to the bill or not, because maybe they will still be following the line of entertainment. But it's up to interpretation, of course. So whoever is the law at that point can decide that this is what they feel about it, because...
So you intend to continue dressing the way you
I actually, yeah, I don't see myself like starting to wear shorts and trousers because of the bill. I feel that would be very strange to me, yeah.
You're known as a musician who uses your art to draw attention to issues like our rivers, the boiler at the beaches, unjust wars, discrimination. When did you become interested in LGBTQ issues?
I guess when I started realizing that I had been I'd been consuming homophobic material, you know, growing up. A lot of dancehall and reggae music is quite homophobic, and it stems from the religiosity of like Rasta music. And it also stems from a trauma, I think, or a phobia of enslaved people being molested to show power, to show dominance, to control groups of enslaved people. I feel like those traumas make people react negatively to what they perceive, maybe because to them they perceive same-sex interaction as violent in when it comes to sexuality or private issues. Yeah, so I feel that trauma is there.
According to the definitions outlined in the bill, you would be seen as an ally. What could happen to allies like you and your musician sister, Deborah Vanessa, if the bill is signed into law?
Well, if the bill is signed into law, I don't think my sister will continue to, or maybe myself, we may just take a pause to feel out things, but I don't think we're gonna be tweeting or posting or speaking about things that we have already spoke about, because I think we've exhausted almost like avenues to change people's minds with speaking if this bill comes into law. And I really don't know about the bill and how they'll apply it, whether it's retroactive, but what I'm saying is that there's stuff out there online already which can keep advocating for human rights, you know, unless, of course, all the bill makes them enforce taking down all these videos and all the stories, maybe even this interview, they'll ask, you know, Graphic to take it down, you know, so that it's not there, because like the video we have of Sam George is from Joy FM or whatever, it's still out there, and somebody watching it after the bill becomes law can be seen as advocating, right?
And you're referring to the video in which he advocates that Ghanaians aren't interested in whether former President John Mahama's publisher, his friend and publisher, is gay. They're more interested in bread and butter issues, how they're going to pay their light bill and so forth.
Yeah, that video.
Right.
Yeah.
And then under this current bill, some of the other sentences that could be meted out, apparently 5 years for somebody who supports LGBTQ activities, up to 10 years for doing propaganda or advocacy on behalf of LGBTQ issues. Do those seem quite draconian to you?
Yeah, I feel those are very, very un-African or inhuman things to do, especially to criminalize someone for showing sympathy. You know, as Ghanaians, we say, Christian Ghanaians, Muslim Ghanaians, we tell all these stories, and traditional Ghanaians, of people who were kind, of people who embraced everybody and did not discriminate and did not do wicked to each other. And we pride ourselves or look at ourselves as being close to these people in beliefs or in behavior. And somehow we can compartmentalize that and just section some hate in ourselves for a certain group of people. I just find that really disheartening.
Let's talk about religion, the question of religion in Ghana. Kubolor.
Yeah.
There seems to be a rather tight consensus among many Ghanaians that the bill should be supported. How do you see the role of religion in creating this consensus?
For me, it's a bit mind-boggling what's happening, because there's a confluence of like assumption and information and misinformation. There was a point where the proponents of the bill and the NDC were going around saying that just by explaining that Akufo-Addo was not in support of the bill, they made it look like this is a bill that is being introduced by the MPP rather to legalize queer, kojobesia, homosexuality, to legalize it. So there's some Ghanaians who just think that the bill is for and don't want it because of that, because those are maybe a homophobic section, but they don't have the right, if like they haven't followed the story. So that is there, as well as the of course the average colonially homophobic Ghanaian. I say that because I don't feel we were homophobic before laws were brought or imposed on us by the British to say homophobia is a criminal offense. I feel like if it was not part of our culture, we would already have these taboos or laws in place against that. But for the British to come here, or the Dutch, or whoever wrote these laws, I think it's the British, for them to actually introduce such a law means that we were fine with it. It's they that were not fine with it.
So you're saying that the Kojo Besias existed in Ghanaian culture?
Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that they did.
And everybody knows that in our boarding schools there's something called Supi. We're all very aware of that.
Yes.
That culture.
Yes.
In girls' schools. Again, on this question of religion, you've used your profile as a musician and as an entertainer to challenge the religious views of Ghanaians. What do you seek to achieve by this? And are you disconcerted by the backlash you get from some of the people who visit your social media pages?
I feel like I really came into my full self, and I became very free and like open to people and the world when I escaped religion. And one of the steps which helped me do that was listening to a rapper called Notorious B.I.G. He's not with us anymore. And I don't remember the name. I think the name of the song was, I don't remember the name, but it's probably a trigger word. But the first line at the opening of the song, he says, "When I die, F it, I want to go to hell." And I was, up to that time, I was somebody who, like, religion had made me so scared of this place called hell, right? And so just seeing this person challenge that idea of hell, like they don't mind going there, and that heaven will be some kind of boring place. Just seeing somebody messing with the beliefs that I was holding on to helped me break free from what I think was holding me down, right? And so when I do these things or express myself, the main reason I do it is it's cathartic. For me, it helps me de-stress. It's like instead of going to see a therapist or someone to help me talk through the way I feel oppressed by the society, I would rather make a song about something or say something or represent something in retaliation or in jest or whatever it is. And that is where I get my benefit. Like, I've done something, I feel satisfied about it. If somebody also possibly is inspired to break away from a certain pressure or bondage or whatever, be it with religion, be it in the society, be it anyhow, that's a plus. But first and foremost is to keep me sane, Yeah.
And do you feel that young people are inspired by your message?
Yes, I feel quite a few are, and I'm happy for them, but I want them to know I'm doing it for myself.
Okay. On that issue you just raised about the Kojobesias in our culture and so forth, and the fact that the anti-homosexuality law was a colonial law, do you think that we're inventing tradition and culture in Ghana? For example, when we say that LGBTQ is against our culture, that it's being imported, whereas at the same time we seem to be importing these far-right American evangelical views. Do you think this is a form of pretense or hypocrisy that we're broaching now?
I feel like what is happening with this onslaught of far-right Christo-fascists, like advancement, is parallel to like Ghana is a place where our leaders go and sign these very bad deals with foreign countries, and they come and dump toxic waste here. Fridges, TVs, everything that they can't afford or don't want to afford to dispose of properly in their countries. We collect like electronic waste here. We collect organic waste from other countries here. And I feel like, and there's people making money from that. There's a transaction going on. There's an agreement, there's benefits. And I feel like it's the same way with this homophobia. I feel like it's some kind of spiritual pollution that we are also importing, you know, in these times. Earlier it came with the colonial hand in hand with the church, but now it's this neo-colonial presentation. And of course it's backed by these far right-wing churches, which are also host Islamophobic and also racist. I mean, they are using our people just to get to a certain place of power. It's like they've identified, okay, Ghana is quite religious, it's colonially homophobic, it's a very ripe ground, it's fertile soil for us to now come and lobby and pass this bill to be able to fill these prisons we've built, you know, and make some money off a population. So it's just like some human beings just deciding to farm a certain group of people, you know, and put them in some cages. And that's how I look at it.
It seems to me that Ghanaian society has always been characterized by high levels of tolerance, and for that reason, the Kojobesias, etc., have been tolerated in our communities. They've always been there. Do you think now that this bill rather seems to be importing high levels of intolerance that were not previously found in our society, and importing these values that are associated with these American evangelicals? Do you see this as something distinct from our actual culture?
So even tolerated feels a bit hostile to me. I feel like, or from what when I look at the fact that there were no laws, stringent laws or harsh punishments or anything out there that is pre-colonial against homosexuality or queer life, I don't feel like people were even tolerated. I feel like people just coexisted, you know. What has happened now to us as Ghanaians is because we have been taken to this level of poverty right now, and we feel each of us feels very neglected by the state. Each of us feels very neglected by the places we work. We feel like everybody's trying to take an advantage, underpay us, and so on and so forth. So the average Ghanaian is getting more and more bitter, right? And the average Ghanaian is not getting all the rights that are guaranteed by the Constitution. We don't live in the kind of dignity we are supposed to. The average Ghanaian has to take a taxi for an ambulance, can't get an ambulance immediately, they need one, you know? So then and the average Ghanaian has been taught by Christianity, by Islam, by colonial traditional religion that that homosexuality is a sin, which is a foreign information, right? And so when the queer community that is extra oppressed because of this homophobia steps up to say, okay, can you at least treat us like the average Ghanaian, even though the average Ghanaian is not even like, we want our rights as well. We want to also be free to buy things at the roadside without people harassing us and so on and so forth. We want that kind of freedom to just exist or say what we are without being persecuted. When this presentation is being made by the queer community, and the homophobic community of Ghana is feeling like, how dare you who are a sinner or who are not on my level, you are less of a person than me because I'm a better person, because what I know your lifestyle to be is a sin. Like, how dare you ask for rights when this state I live in doesn't guarantee me or doesn't give me the rights that I deserve, even if as being a good person. So I feel that indignation is at play, you know? And then I also feel that because the average Ghanaian man is sexually harasses the opposite sex mostly, right? I feel that because the way we interact with women is quite predatory, I feel like the average Ghanaian man feels like if we don't oppress the LGBTQ community and we tell the LGBT community they have rights to live freely as every other Ghanaian, that the homosexual men will start now coming and behaving the same way that sexual predatory men behave towards women who are not inviting the advances. And that will be a legal thing to do, because a lot of people do not know what sexual harassment is, and people are not really, like, we haven't really taught ourselves as Ghanaian the ways to interact with the opposite, same sexes, whatever, you know? We don't get that kind of education. And so there's that fear that, hey, someone's just going to come and press my buttons, because that's how that person goes and just presses somebody else's buttons, right? And so there's different layers, you know, and there's misinformation as well.
And there's misinformation. I believe we'll have other opportunities to revisit this, different aspects of this question. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for coming to share your thoughts with us in the studio today.
Thank you for having me, Dede.
Pleasure. At the end of the day, we're all going to have to live together as Ghanaians. So before leaving the studio, we'd like to ask Wanlov the Kubolor to play a song that can help to bring us all together.
I'd like to do that, Dede, but please first, if you will permit me to read this statement to the President of Ghana from Ghanaians all over the world. I want to mention some of the names of the people who have signed.
Go ahead.
Ajua Ando, actor. Ajua Osu Barney. Hey, I'm going to spell people's names. Akosia Adomako Ampofo, professor. Mm-hmm. Ama Josephine Budge, John Stone, writer, artist, lecturer. Enima Ejepon, writer, professor. Ata Musa, filmmaker, engineer. Ato Esando, actor. Audrey Gajepo, professor. Barbie Asante, artist. Campbell Addy, photographer. Should I keep saying the names? All of them? Sure. Catherine McKinley, writer, curator. Clara Amfo, broadcaster. Danny Kwesi Sapani, actor. Dakwa Che Dakwa, actor, recording artist, performer. Sophie Duka, broadcaster. Thelma Boabeng, actress. Vabene Elekemfiachi, activist, artist, philanthropist, and Wanlov the Kubolor, musician, and many more have signed this. So I want to read a few paragraphs.
This is a letter to the President?
Yes, from...
Please read a few.
Dear President of the Republic of Ghana, Your Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, a letter from Ghanaians across the world. London, 20th March 2024 is where it was, I guess, composed. And it was posted on the page of House of Dakwa on Instagram. We are writing to you as Ghanaians who value the fundamental rights of all Ghanaians to live safely, joyfully, and free from harm in both the motherland and across the diaspora. This Ghanaian Sexual Rights and Human Families Values Bill directly threatens the lives of many Ghanaians. It creates an atmosphere of suspicion and threats for everybody, not just lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, and queer LGBTQ plus Ghanaians, but also our families, our employers, our friends, our landlords, our children, our parents and carers, aunts and uncles. With the passing of this bill, with little or no proof, anyone's sexual or gender identity can be called into question. This bill leaves all Ghanaians open to extortion, bribery, and blackmail. We are also doctors, lawyers, engineers, mechanics, chop bar owners, artists, laborers, trotro drivers. We are also people and also Ghanaian. If this bill is passed, we know that it will not meet with just and fair prosecution or justice procedures. Even now, it is hard to find legal representation who are not afraid of being called homosexual by association. All Ghanaians have the right to legal representation and to protection under the law. Revolution, the only solution. Revolution, no more pollution. Revolution, the only solution. Revolution, no more confusion. Make they no fool you. They want to rule you. Me, they no fit fool me. If they try me, they go feel me. See, then they see we like toys. Then they talk to we like we be small boys. They people wanna joy. If they no go build, then we go destroy. Oh, revolution, the only solution. Revolution, no more pollution. Revolution, the only solution. Revolution, no more confusion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dede, very much.
And that brings us to the end of this week's show. Thank you for joining us on Your Ghana, My Ghana, and don't forget to subscribe on YouTube to Graphic Online TV. See you next time.